Hello, BookTube. I have a rather dire post-action report to deliver you. As you may know, if your foremost form of entertainment, God help you, is this little community of BookTube, this little group of about 200 channels. If you follow these channels and when they come up in your feed, you say, "Oh, I wonder how this melodrama is going on in this island of misfit toys." If you follow this, then you may be aware of a stark madness that has erupted lately in this area of BookTube. I made a video about it yesterday. I'll leave a link to all the pertinent videos down below. The problem started, as so many problems do, with Ollie from CriminOlly, who made a challenge really to himself. I fall into the habit of buying way too many books. I end up with more books than I have read, a lot more, and that feels wasteful. It feels like I'm not in control of that process, and I bought these things to read them, not to mindlessly accumulate them. So I'm going to make a challenge. I'm going to read 100 of my own books before I buy any new books. And other people thought that sounded good. They joined him in that. And he has revived that 100 book challenge now with a group of different levels that you can tap out at. And the full thing would be to read 100 books of your own, 100 things that you already own, before you buy something new. Then Michael K Vaughan, I guess, either skipped or upped his medication and decided to make that challenge even more insane. He also looked around at Stately Vaughan Manor and said, "I have way too many books, and I buy lots of them," or Roger Hotep does. "I buy lots of them." So boxes, whole lots of books will show up here, even though there are whole storage rooms full of books that I haven't read. And that process is obviously feeding on itself. It's obviously different from a love of reading. It's a separate thing. And I want to get control of it. Serious control of it. So Michael K Vaughan proposed a 500 book challenge, where he'll read 500 unread books in his collection before he buys another book. Now, he and Ollie left doors open, for a little exceptions here and there. I'll buy the books of friends, for instance. Definitely take pre-orders that come in, that sort of thing. But mostly, no. No more random shopping online, no more driving to used bookstores, no more any of that, until you've read 500 unread books from your collection. Now that prompted a wailing video from me. A wailing video. This is the my Lenovo tab here, the one that I saw on Mark's channel at Book Time with Elvis. This thing that has a battery and speakers on the bottom that forms a kind of handle, and it has a stand here that you can pop up for holding, but also for setting it up as a TV thing. I found it when I was looking for an adapter cord. I wasn't looking for a device at all. I found it and said, "Oh yeah, I bought that as soon as I saw it on Mark's channel." And why did I stop using it? And honestly, I can't tell you now why I stopped using it. It's great for holding in the hand, and it has controls that make the reading apps, the Kindle app or the Nook app or whatnot, that remove the blue light, the sort of piercing blue light that comes with staring at screens. It removes a large amount of that. It goes to sort of natural light. This device has those controls. It's not going to supplant e-reading. E-reading is just too convenient, but this thing has not left my hand since I found it and recharged it. But anyway, I made a wailing video yesterday saying not only in defense of unread books in your collection. I wanted to make a defense of unread books in your collection. The unread books in your collection are the fat that your body accumulates in the course of your lifetime. The fat is not necessarily healthy for you, especially if there's too much of it. The reason why your body sequesters some protein in fat is in case you need it later on. Your unread books are that cushion of fat in your library. They are in case you suddenly, I don't know, maybe there's a worldwide pandemic and you can't go and get books. Or maybe it's a winter night and you've just finished a book and nothing that you have on tap really appeals to you. Maybe you want to go looking on your shelf, find something that's unread. Maybe you bought it years ago. There's an argument to be made in favor of unread books in your collection. I wanted to make that argument, but I also wanted to ask in a kind of bewildered, maybe horrified way, how many of you, there's an argument to be made for unread books in your collection, but not 500 of them. Not 500 of them. That's a psychological problem, not a library condition. So part of my video yesterday was asking how many of you have hundreds of unread books in your collection. I got a lot of comments on that video, and the comments are still coming in. I also got a lot of emails. I leave my email on every video. You can email me about anything in the world. You don't want to put a comment on a video? Send me a comment in your email. As long as you're okay, as long as you're patient with whether or not and how quickly I respond. I get a lot of emails every day. As long as you're okay with that, feel free. I do my best to respond to all of them as quick as I can. But I got a lot of comments on that video and a lot of emails from people confirming my worst fears, which is that a lot of you, maybe even most of you, have hundreds of unread books in your collection. Now, I said in that video yesterday that if that turns out to be true, then maybe challenges like this make a kind of macabre sense. If that's true for a lot of people, well, it shouldn't be true. You should have maybe a couple of dozen unread books, but hundreds of them? Hundreds of them means you are buying books at 10 times the rate that you're reading them, which is unhealthy in every way. Unless you are actually endowing a library, that's an unhealthy behavior. And those comments, both on the video and in my inbox, should have prepared me for this horror getting even worse. And it got even worse today. Now, I'll leave links to all the offending videos here, including my own. Michael K Vaughan posted a video today. The thumbnail is a Michael K Vaughan work of art. His thumbnails are works of art, but this one is a horrifying work of art because it shows a super team. Not just him. A team of people that have decided to take the 500 book challenge. Sterling reads, Greg and another bibliophile reads decided the 100 challenge wasn't good enough for him. He's going to do 500 books. David Wiley, ordinarily the voice of common sense. He's the first one to jump on board and validate Michael K Vaughan. And perhaps most surprising of all, our dark prince here on BookTube, our CriminOlly, has decided to do the 500 book challenge. 500 books. Now, I mentioned in my video yesterday that some people just read faster than other people. And also some people have greater time, more time to devote to reading. A lot of you are really busy with all kinds of obligations. A lot of you also, as you point out in your videos every single time you turn on the camera, are really tired all the time. That also can cut into reading time. So that's not an even yardstick. And I realize that. But 5 people, 5 people doing the 500 book challenge. And even, Greg, for instance, reads fast. Ollie reads fast. I myself am a fast reader. Some people on BookTube are very much slow readers. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's no judgment involved in any way. It's just an idiosyncrasy of reading. But even for fast readers, the 500 book challenge has got to translate to at least a year without buying books. Right? I would think at least a year. How many books did Ollie read last year? I think he said in a video, but I'm not remembering. I don't think it was much higher than 500. It represents, for most people, a 500 book challenge represents years where you are not buying books. Years of going by charity shops. Years of skipping the Brattle if you visit me in Boston for wine and calzones. Years of ignoring your library book sales or not spending that $1.50 plus shipping and handling for a lot on eBay of 50 books that come in a battered box and you don't really know what's in there. Years of not doing that? Years? That seems to me extreme. I admit, I've mentioned, compulsively buying books is a different disease than compulsively reading books. We're all got the second one. Some people have the first one. So having 500 unread books in your collection is probably unhealthy. But we all love the thrill of the hunt. We all love the serendipity of going looking for books. You're going to deny yourself that for years? That seems at least as unhealthy as having 500 unread books in your collection. Now, I don't know how far this madness is going to go. I have no idea if 10 more people are going to join the 500 book challenge. But I had a thought that I wanted to throw into the mix. Some of you will probably consider it even more heretical than taking the 500 book challenge, but I thought I would throw it out there. What about if instead of taking the 500 book challenge, you take the 500 books and sell them? If you have unread books that have been sitting around your house forever, they're not calling to you. If you've had them for years, they're obviously not calling to. Why not sell them? Easy as pie to get a seller position on Amazon or eBay, buy a package of padded envelopes, and start selling these things. That way, you don't have all that excess, and you are now free to shop for books. What about that? What about you go through your library and you say, if I encounter an unread book that I have had for more than 3 years, so if I've had a book for 3 years and I haven't read it, and I know plenty of you have books for 30 years that you haven't read, but let's say 3. If I encounter a book when I'm going through these shelves, book by book, that I've had for 3 years and haven't read, with all the reading moods that you've been in, with all the prompts and urges from BookTube and elsewhere, and it still hasn't ever been the thing that you wanted to read, you wanted to go and pull off the shelf, that if you encounter a book like that, you pull it off and mark it for sale. You're obviously not going to miss it. I just thought I would put a modest proposal out there. Why don't you sell the excess so that you don't deny yourself the joy of hunting for books at your next library book sale? You are consigning yourself, you 500s are consigning yourself to driving past a sign that says library book sale. Do you want to be that kind of person? Do you? You don't. Surely you don't want to be that kind of person. I want to put forward a modest proposal, and I'm also wondering if maybe I shouldn't do my part for the 500 madness that is sweeping BookTube. My part would obviously be to buy 500 books. Between now, this is the 20th of November, the day the World Cup starts. This is between now and the 20th of December, which is around the time when I'm going to disappear. That's a month. Could I buy 500 books in a month? I bet I could. I have the room for them. And I'll go through them instead of sitting on them like heirlooms, like I guess so many of you do. Should I do that? Should I have my own 500 book challenge? Could I buy 500 books in 30 days? I wonder. I wonder if I could. But anyway, this is just an update, a gruesome update. The 500 phenomenon is spreading. And I thought you should know. I will leave all the pertinent links down below so that you can bring yourself up to date on the incredibly nerdy, incredibly inward-looking thing that passes for drama in this little community. We'll wrap this up for now. I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.